Welcome to the Lessons from Sports podcast. I'm your host, Wayne Partello. And on this episode, I actually sit down with one of my longtime friends, one of my best friends, Jon Cox. I like to call him Johnny Shots because in our early days, in our 20s running around Boston, when I worked in radio, Jon worked at Coors Light, and we were tasked with going around the city and making sure everybody had a good time. And well, we were pretty good at that. Jon has turned that into an incredible career as a restaurateur. Now just adding his third restaurant to his portfolio. This conversation, we kind of dive in and out of all the ways from Jon's early days playing hockey as a kid and through college, and how he decided that this is how he wanted to spend his time and the success that he has created by doing that. I loved this conversation. I'm so happy I get to share it with you, so I hope you enjoy it as well. Yeah, I am fired up for this. You know, when we do these conversations and, I talk to people from all different, careers and walks of life. And, I know when I reached out to you, you were like, really, what do you want to talk about? And it's like, I think it's amazing. One of my best friends in the entire world, Jon Cox. And I call you Johnny Shots. I don't know if that's still a thing, but that's my thing. It's always been my thing. Thanks for doing this, man.
Oh, no, thanks for having me. I'm psyched to be here.
Yeah, it's, for those who know my story of, when I got into the radio business, I did a lot of promotions in the beer alcohol space and bumped into you one night at F1 in Boston, and we were doing a promotion, right. And the rest is history. We pretty much never left each other's side for 10 years. And then my wife smartly was like, you guys need to be as far away from each other as possible for your own sanity and survival. So
she succeeded. You went far. Yeah.
Yeah, we're pretty far away, which is good, but it's awesome to see your face. And so first one, obviously I know you and we've known each other a really long time. And whenever you and I get together, we talk about the fact that if you go back 25 years, I don't think anybody had their money on these two horses, but here we are, buddy, and doing all right. So why don't you tell us a little bit about sort of your journey to what you do today?
Yeah. Grew up Massachusetts, born and raised, great family, just your typical kind of all-American guy. Went to St. John Shrewsbury, played hockey out there, have a lot of great memories. Sports was a huge part of my life growing up. Continued my education, went on to Salve Regina, made some great friends, some great lifelong friendships there. Again, playing sports. When I got out of college, you don't know what to do. I'm like, you leave campus, you move back in with your parents, you're like, now what? And I had all these dreams. I had all these, you have these dreams of, I'm going to have a house, I'm going to have a Jeep Wrangler, I'm going to have jet skis, by the time I'm 24. Yeah. And then you're 24, you're like, oh shit, I'm still with my parents. I'm making, no money. So I didn't know what to do. So I said, you know me well. I said, I know beer. So I went for a beer distributor.
You sure do.
Yeah, driving the vans around and building displays and causing trouble, and that served me well. From there, I went on and worked for Coors Brewing Company direct on the supplier side. Learned a lot of the business end of things. From there, I went to actually met my wife at Coors. So now that I think about it, so I was at Coors, met Jenna out in Colorado. She got sent to Texas. She got sent down to Dallas, and I got sent back to Boston because they joked that no one understand what I'm talking about if they sent me anywhere else in the country. So she was down in Texas. I was back here in Boston, running the streets with you, selling beer, having fun, doing all the promotional stuff.
Great times.
And then it was good times. And then I realized I think she's the one. So I packed up the Jeep Wrangler and hit the road, went down to Texas for about 6-7 months. She got transferred over to Tampa. So I made the ride with her, lived down there for about 3 years. And then I popped the question. She finally said yes. I asked her like 20 times to marry me, and she just laughed and said no.
She's still regretting the one time she said yes.
Oh, yeah. It was in typical fashion. We were at a dive bar in Tampa, and I looked at her and said, will you marry me? And she teared up and said yes. I looked at the bartender like, oh, shit, I don't have a ring or anything. So we made a ring out of a straw, which she still has, slid on her finger.
I never
You
knew
know,
that. That's
oh
incredible.
yeah, oh yeah. I looked at the bartender. He's like, "What are you gonna do?" I said, "I don't know." She's in the bathroom crying. So we took a straw with a lighter, made it into a ring, and it's still up in her jewelry box.
Oh
So
my God.
that's kind of how I do things. It's like nothing's really planned. Um, so now we were getting serious and talking about family. She was from the South and in a small place, very rural. And I'm like, that's not going to be for me. But we wanted to be near family. So we made the move back up here. I went on to work for Heineken uh, for about 7 years. And that was a great company, great time, made a lot of great friendships there. But something was missing. Um, the quality of life was good. The career was going well. My wife at the time danced teach at dance studio. I had the opportunity to purchase it, which she did. And I saw her life, and even the hard days that she was having, she had a smile on her face. Seeing the kids and seeing the progress and
Yeah.
seeing the growth, it really gave her a reason to get up every day. And I felt like that's something I was missing. So, thinking about a career
Mhm.
change, which is scary. At that point, we had a 5-year-old Ryland.
Yeah. How old are
We had
you?
a, I was
So you,
35.
yeah, with a
Yeah.
with a
Yeah.
5-year-old.
It's with a 5-year-old, a house. Scarlett was in the belly, so my daughter was
Yep.
was coming. But I knew that I had to do something. And you know me as long as you do. People are like, "Oh, it took courage to do what you did, or it took guts." I said, kind of took a little bit of stupidity, like not knowing, like not being smart enough to know the risk I was
For
actually
sure.
taking. Um, so I looked at different career opportunities, and I always had the dream of owning a restaurant, owning a bar. Never served, never bartended, never cooked. Um,
Nope.
but
Nothing.
I looked around, nothing, no background. Looked around, and I found this place in Rentham, which is in the town next to where I'm living now, and it just kind of spoke to me. And I said, I can do something with this. So I purchased that, stayed on with Heineken for a couple of years while we were running the restaurant. Then the restaurant really took off. So at that point, I was thinking, you know what, this is going to work. The first couple of years, I made every mistake you could. My business partner says,
Sure.
I learned through, you learn through hurt, you learn through mistakes, and we went to the hard knocks kind of. But the Gavel did really well, continues to do well. Allowed me to purchase a second place back in 2022. Just recently purchased a third place 2 weeks ago. So the growth is there.
Amazing.
The vision's coming true. I now have 3 kids, beautiful wife, a house. Sometimes I pull up to the house with the pool, and I'm like, I never thought I'd even sniff something like this. Giving the kids the best education we
I know the
can.
feeling.
Yeah, it's like, I still drive my 2013 pickup truck because I'm like, I love it. Like, but there's certain things in life that, you just kind of, you blink and you're like, wow, I have, I'm very blessed, very fortunate. And it didn't come from, it wasn't given, there was hard work, there was pain, there was
Nope.
tears, there was stress in the marriage, overall stress in life, but the support system I have with my parents, my sisters, my wife, the kids, my staff. So they continue to, allowed us to grow. And here I am today. The Gavel's been around for 8 years, Raillery 2 years. And now we got a new baby that we're trying to fix up for the third spot. So, nothing too crazy. My,
Yeah,
my,
and
my
like
life.
the Gavel. No, I was gonna say the Gavel started as a small spot. You put the outside on, and then you added, then you doubled the inside space. I mean, the growth of the Gavel was just. I mean, I saw it from the beginning, and every time I come home, I go and I got a call from my mom one day, being like, "I can't even get in there," and
Yeah,
the
yeah,
lines are
yeah.
so long. It's
She's got
incredible,
my
and
number.
she was laughing. She was so proud of you, though. I mean, we joke about it. We were running hard in our 20s. We were not, as I joke, that we weren't the horses to bet money on, because
No.
if we didn't change courses at some point, it was headed for disaster. And
Yeah.
we had some incredible people. I always, every time I, like, you and I go back in the time machine, we think about like a guy like Jim Merrill, who was your boss at one point, and we used to have to
Yeah.
call him and
Huge.
be like, "Hey, Uncle Jimmy, we're in trouble." And
Yep. Yep.
guys like that kind of showed us the right way and got us back on track. And like Rushton was doing that for me on the radio side. You had Jim, a bunch of guys
Yep.
on the beer
Yep.
side, and just incredible. But yeah, I mean, I think, I was telling you, I spoke at this thing on over the weekend, and telling these kids, it's okay to not know the answers at that age. Like, like, yeah, you had a dream of a Jeep Wrangler and a couple of jet skis, right? Like that was the
Yeah,
success. And then
that was the
life
goal.
changes,
Yeah.
different things. That's it. That's it. Did you ever get the jet skis? I don't think you ever got jet skis.
No, I didn't get jet skis.
We're gonna have to buy some jet skis just for fun now
Yeah,
at this point. But
let's do it.
it what when you made that leap, and listen, as you know, I've made a leap too, and people always say that, oh, it took so much courage, and like, I guess, but like, I don't know, it sort of felt like the right thing to do at the right time. And yeah, you're right. Like, Kristen and I left Boston when she was pregnant with our first kid, right? And it was
Right.
like,
Yeah.
oh God, like we're leaving. Like, all we did the opposite, right? Where you went home for support, we left all the support, and everybody's like, oh, that's terrifying. It was like, well, we didn't
Yeah.
really know any different. We were kind of stupid, like we didn't know.
Well,
And
that's it.
yeah,
That's what I was saying. I didn't know it was that much of a risk when I was doing it.
no.
You know?
Well, and also, like, I think for you, and I've said this, like, if you leave on the right terms, you did a good job, you finished your chapter hard, you can always take that step back, or you can go back to the life you were in. Yes, it's going to be humbling that you failed at what you attempted to accomplish, but there was a lot. You knew that if, God forbid, that didn't go right in the first year or two, that like, there's a beer company that was going to hire you again. Like, you were one of
Right.
the most
Right.
successful, somehow one of the most successful sellers in the entire region. And like, so you would get a job. So it was like, all right, you had that removes a little, but still
Yeah.
what stops a lot of people from doing it is the fear of failure. And I don't think you have that. I don't think, like, you don't mind being humbled, right? Like, that's something I
No.
always just like, it was like, you're like, you can make fun of me all you want, dude. Like, it's okay. Like, I'm having a
Yeah.
great day today.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one of the things is that people ask,
But
like, what's the key to success at the restaurants and things. And I say, I know that I don't know everything. I'm not one of these guys that goes in the kitchen and tells the chef how to make a dish or tells the bartender how to
right,
make a drink. Like, that's their role. So I know enough that let them do their thing, and going back to our days,
right.
running the streets of Boston, and, you talk about the Jim Merrills and the Russians, unbelievable influences on both our lives. But we always had, we joke about us running around and people thinking we're nuts. There was always that person that believed in us more than we did at that age. There's always that person
No
that
doubt.
pulled us aside at certain moments. It's like, Johnny, you're better than this. You're better than that. Come back down, and I was always there to support us. So I had a handful through the distributors and through the work, through my family. So I was fortunate enough, and that's why I want to try and provide for my children. There's always someone here that's going to help you get back up. If you do fall, you do stumble, there's a hand there, and let's move forward. And it's
Yeah.
kind of, you bring that up. It's kind of what I was going to talk about, later on, is the failures and mistakes. It's okay. It's
Yeah.
all right to do that.
Yeah, we
So
can transition
sure.
into that. Like, I mean, what is that lesson from sports that has really helped you? Because I know where you're going with this, because it hasn't been the straightest line to today for you, right? Like,
Right.
this wasn't a rocket ship of success. Yes, you had successes along the way, but there were stumbles as well. And it
Oh
was how
yeah.
you came back from those stumbles.
Yeah, no, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, hockey was my thing. From a young age, I just found the camaraderie and the brotherhood and the team. I just love that feeling, the tournaments and being on the ice. And they talk about sports, and they talk about team building and dealing with adversity and winning with class and respect, and all those things come along with that. But I remember at St. John's, competitive hockey school, I was a junior, didn't make varsity. I was the only one. And you read
Wow.
that list in the hall, you read that list in the hallway, and you're like, but my father was there, my teammates were there, and like, Johnny, you got this, so you keep working. Senior year, I did make varsity, and I was always that guy that wasn't, oh, I'm not playing tonight, that sucks. It was, how can I help you? Want me to tape your stick? Do you need your skates? Do like, just being that true team guy. And that's what I loved. And that's what got me to where I was in hockey, which wasn't anything crazy, but playing D3, and then Salve picked me up. So I played at Salve. But that junior year, I remember reading the list in the hallway and being like, I'm the only guy that didn't make it. I should, at this level, at this age, I should be there. But you have to work hard and you have to dig in. But by turning that into a positive, I think it really helped me for the next 6-7 years. And now, with my son, he's 14, and hockey's his thing. He tried all the sports, and I didn't want to push him one way or another, but he
Yeah.
gravitated towards hockey. So now it gives me opportunity to coach. So I'm seeing things from a
Yep.
whole different side. I'm seeing these young men and women from the age of 8 grow up with me, to now 13, 14 years old, and seeing their personal growth, in school, on the ice, outside the rink, which is really, really cool. When you ask me to do this, I'm thinking about, there's a million different ways you can go with it. The team building and the respect and
Sure.
dealing with adversity and all that. But I think you nailed it. One thing I have written down here is it's okay to make a mistake. It's okay to fail at something. What's important is having the confidence to be in that situation to make the mistake. When I talk to my staff, and right now I have over 100 employees, which is mind blowing. And I'm the head of
Crazy.
HR. Yeah, I'm the head of HR, which is even more mind blowing. But
We might need to
I
cut
tell
this
them,
out for later.
yeah, yeah, like edit. But I talk to them in the restaurant business, things change in the moment. A customer might be acting a certain way, you got to address it, or there's just a million things that can go wrong, and a lot of the younger generation is afraid to make that call. Hey, let's deal with this customer, let's refund them, let's do this, let's do that, or dealing with some town officials, and it's obviously I'm here to support you. I want you to make the
Mhm.
decision. It might not be the right decision, but make a decision.
Sure.
And then we can talk about after. It could be perfect, or it could use a little altering. But I want you to have the confidence to make that decision. And if you fail or it doesn't work out, it's a mistake. We learn from it. Mistakes is what I think allowed me to succeed. You talked about going back 25 years and what you would say to yourself. That'd be a lot. You say you wish you
Yeah.
knew what you knew back then, but a part of me is kind of loves the fact that you don't know the future. The 60-year-old me might be telling the 45-year-old me something in 15 years, So when it comes to the sports and
100%. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's exactly right. No, I think the mistakes in today with like social media, everybody wants to keep receipts on your mistakes. Like, dude, I made a lot of mistakes, right? Like, because
Imagine if they
I
had
was
that back
young.
then.
Yeah. I mean, oh, yeah, no doubt. Yeah, no doubt. But like, when I got, my opportunity to go to the NFL, I made mistakes when I got to Miami for sure. Like a lot of it was just me excited, making mistakes, trying to do things, push forward. But because I was able to take those mistakes, turn them into huge wins, I get the opportunity to go to San Diego. Look, we got to San Diego, we made mistakes for sure. And there are people that love to just relish in those, which is fine. But for me, I know what happened on the backside of those mistakes. I know that the mistake on that day turned into this idea that turned into a huge win. And it's like, you'd love to go back and pull the receipts and be like, yeah, I remember this one, that you said was a stupid idea. Well, look what it turned
Right.
into. Like it's
Right.
4 steps removed from it. But yeah, it's easy. And I think in I always tell, it's easy to be the person that just sits back and commentary on other people that are trying to move forward and trying to win. And
Absolutely.
whenever you're trying to push forward, there's inevitable mistakes, but it's a lot easier to sit back and just judge those who are actually pushing forward. Like I know you deal with it, like you're in a small town, small communities, and you're doing something big, right? Like you took on a tiny little storefront and turned it into the hub, the center of the entire community. That makes you in the spotlight, right? And like everybody's got their opinion on whether you're good at it or all those different things, and you have to learn how to. Nobody teaches you how to deal with that.
Right. Right. Yeah. And that's some of the hardest stuff is, I'm very blessed, great community, great customers, great support from the top bottom, but there always is that person. And you see them from a mile away, the ones that just, they hate success, it's
Yup.
really, they're upset with themselves, but they're going to project that, so now with Facebook and all that, there's some comments and my wife will be like, that doesn't bother you? I'm like, no, because I know who I am. You know who I am. And if I worried about what everyone said
Yep.
about me, that's all I would do, So, I see people out and at fundraisers and have great opportunity to meet some amazing people, and they know who I am. The ones that really know who I am
Right.
are the ones I care about. The ones that want to assume or say I'm this and I'm that. That's great. Like you can say what you want,
Yeah.
but
Have your
I'm con- I'm
opinions.
con- yeah, I'm confident who I am, and I think that's gotten me far. And learning from those mistakes and failing. Like the Michael Jordan quote that I always think about is, he missed 9,000 shots, he missed 27 game-winning shots, he lost over 300 games. And he's like, and that's what allowed me to succeed in the other situations. And that sticks with you when things aren't going right. And in this business, things could be going great. Just when you think you have it all figured out, you get slapped in the face. And not taking that too high, not taking that too low, in either direction, and just staying focused, setting your goals, and taking it day by day is what has gotten me to this point, and hopefully further. But yeah, I think mistakes are part of
Yeah.
life. When we coach these young kids now, and the gentleman I coach with, Coach Markey, he says it before every game. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to make over 200 mistakes in this game. The coach is going to make mistakes. He's like, let's make them quick mistakes. Let's recognize it and let's get over it. Let's not hound on it. Let's learn from it. He always says quick mistakes, and there's going to be a lot of them from the top bottom.
Love that.
And it's kind of how you handle them that matters.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you're teaching that to kids too, because the more I think sports is an incredible opportunity to teach that lesson that you are going to miss that shot. You are going to, but like, don't not call for the puck on the next play because you missed the last shot. Get back up, take that shot. And my daughter, she plays on a boys travel basketball team right now, and she never confidence up, it was like, listen, you gotta take the shot. And every time she'd be open, she'd pass it back. And I'm like, just take the shot. And like 2 weekends ago, she finally took the confidence and took that shot. And the whole parent section went nuts because we're like, you can shoot. We know you can shoot. You're wide open. Take the shot. And you've just been passing it back because of confidence, right? Because she missed a couple. And next thing you know, the ball just swishes in, and it's like the greatest feeling. She was so happy. And it was like the weight was lifted. And if you can learn that, look, not every kid's going to the NHL. Not every kid's going to the NBA. Most are not, right? You growing up probably thought you were, right? And then next thing you know, you're not. But it's those lessons that carry on that allow you to, whatever you go into, at least bring those mentalities and those lessons that you learned along the way. So we transition into where you and I have spent a lot of time, which is the hot seat. So these are rapid fire questions. So just bear with me and we'll go along. We've all been there. We've taken the pressure, and it's the pressure that actually makes the magic. So first one, what time do you wake up in the morning?
Actually, 5:40. You
really?
Don't believe it, 5:40. Yeah, my son's got to be at the bus stop at 6:30, so I got to drive him over to. He goes to a school outside the state, so 5:40.
Wow. Yeah, I do.
I'm not gonna say I don't go back to bed after, but that's what time I wake up.
I'm a 5:30 guy. I was actually, the reason why I asked that question was I woke up and I was like, God, I bet you, there's no way 20 years ago and you and I were like, oh yeah, we're going to be in our 40s with kids in the burbs, and we're going to be getting up at 5:30 in the morning. And
getting home at 5:30 in the morning.
No doubt. With to-go Chinese food.
That's it. Yeah.
All right, next. Yeah. Boom, no doubt. What was out of you referenced not knowing any of the jobs in any of your restaurants, which is one of my things that I love about you. Which is the one you definitely couldn't do? What's the least skills that you would have?
Honestly, I think it's being a server. That's not an easy job. I think I could deal with being in the kitchen. I could deal with being behind the bar, but being a server and dealing with the different personalities, and some customers are more appreciative of the service than others, and just being able to absorb some of the negative feedback and also the positive feedback. But I think being in the service, serving the customers it's a lesson I think everyone should go through. I know you did, but I think that's one of the most difficult jobs 100%. In a restaurant.
Yeah, that's a great point, right? Because you don't have that barrier of the bar to protect you. You're out amongst the pat. You got to move and you got to finagle, and then you still have to do all those other things. Yeah, I love my, as you know, I've every chain restaurant in America, and it's some of the greatest skills I learned was working in some of those restaurants. The sales training I went through at TGI Fridays was probably some of the best sales training I've ever witnessed. And I've not only been through sales training, but I've been sat in rooms as others have gone through massive sales training, and they were, as you know, I mean, it was to grow your revenue by, cents, right? Like every upsell is an opportunity to grow the pot. They made their money by chipping away 25 cents at an upsell. I mean, it's an art.
It is. And you got these young men and women that go to a table all weekend. No, go ahead.
No, go. Go ahead. Sorry, I'll edit that.
No, I was just going to say is, you got these young men and women going to a table. Yeah, they're going to a table and they don't know what they're walking into. They could be having the worst day as they come in the restaurant, they could be having an anniversary party, and just to be able to go there and read that situation, I think it's a skill.
And bring incredible, experience and service and all the things. So, all right, next one. Worst job you've ever had?
I'd have to say working for a moving company, household moving, United Van Lines. Great company. I was in high school, did it during the summers. Oh, you drive out there, and some random guy would pick you up in a truck, that's coming from like San Diego.
Yep.
And you meet him at the office, you get in the back of this hot, sweaty truck. You don't know where you're going. You don't know how much stuff you're moving. Long days, hard work. It taught me a lot. It taught me I don't want to do that for the rest of my life. That was probably the hardest job and the most mentally to get up in the morning and go that I've had.
When you got home and you got in bed, you could feel the muscles aching. I remember I worked I delivered office furniture similarly, right? Like we would get up, same thing, get in that truck. And I just remember so vividly, because I worked with two different guys. They were probably our age now, right? And I just remember coming home one day, we're in that truck and you're bouncing the whole way home and you're just sitting there. And he was like, I was probably like 18, 19 years old. And he was like, hey, can I give you some advice? I'm like, sure. He's like, don't do this. Don't like, I can tell you the aches and pains that I'm going through. You're young enough to make a pivot. Make the pivot right now. And I was like, what? You're just young. You don't know. And I'm like, no, it's fine. I guess it's just, something I'm doing. Da, 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 da. He's like, yeah. It was just something I was doing. And then, you get married, you have kids, and you got like to make that leap was so scary that people didn't do. But I remember him just looking at me, like putting like the fear of like it all in. I'm like, okay, all right, I'm going to listen. I'm going to start thinking about that. Cause you're not thinking, you're just doing at that point.
Right.
I know your dad's an awesome dude. And I know he's been a huge part of your support system through the ups and downs of your journey. Yeah. What's the best advice your dad ever gave you?
Oh my God, there's so much.
Yep.
It's funny because when I was younger, it went more from lecturing to advice now. I think it was I was younger and I was out of work. I think it was those days when I got home from college and I was living at home, and I was doing the 21, 22-year-old thing. And I was looking for a job, with quotes around it. And he's going off to work every day and he's coming home. How many resumes did you have? And I'm like, and he knows I'm full of shit, And one day he woke me up. He's like, get in the shower. And I got in the shower. I'm like, what the hell's going on? I was probably had too many beers the night before. Put some nice clothes on. I'm like, where are we going? He said, nowhere. He said, but you're going to sit in the computer. You're going to look for jobs. He said, you dress like you're going to work when you're looking for jobs. And at first I'm like, you're nuts. But now that I'm older, he wasn't telling me to go put on the suit and sit in a computer. He was telling me, dress for confidence and be prepared and pull yourself together and act in a certain way. It wasn't. So I think it was present yourself.
Love that.
Present yourself for what you're going for, and act in the way that you should for what you're going for. That's one that sticks me.
But if you get up and change that mindset right away. Yeah.
Right.
No, and if you change that mindset and you have the mindset that you're getting ready for the day, then you're not just sort of lackadaisically shooting out resumes. You're like attacking it like it's a job, and that's
your job. Your job today is to find a job.
That's it. Yeah, and you think of it that way. I love it. Okay. Best part of owning your own business.
Oh God. I'd say it's seeing the growth of your employees. Like I said, right now it blows my mind. I think it's over 100 employees. We have all different ages and backgrounds and experiences. And seeing that young man or woman come in at 16, 17 years old and start, as a hostess or a host or a busboy, and see them learn and then see them go off to school and then come back, and seeing them through their college careers and then seeing them come back and visit. And talk about some of the things that they've learned in life through this opportunity is that's probably one of the most rewarding things. That and being able to give back. We do a lot of stuff trying to get back to the community. Tonight I have a school dance, for some students that haven't been given the opportunities that we have. So they're going to be up doing their prom. So I'm going to be with them. They come work with us every Tuesday morning. Oh, that's
amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome. These kids are amazing. So they come on Tuesdays and help at the restaurant. So their prom's tonight. So Seeing things like that, people say, "Oh, well, you guys give so much," and my response is, why would we do this if we couldn't give back? Why go through all the stress and all the ups and downs if you can't see that reward? And for me, giving back is a reward. Being able to write that check for the little league or be able to sponsor that family that might need a little more support. So I'd say that the opportunity to give back and then seeing the staff really come into themselves and grow.
And I know from obviously just like our conversations that the community that you're in a bunch now, but with the first one with the gavel, that was, you had that during COVID, and I remember talking to you, and I remember the community, like I remember social media, the rally of like, hey, like not only
Right.
it wasn't John's livelihood, it was all the people that work at this place are depending, and the community rallied back around you. And it's a give and take of that relationship to really be, that centerpiece of a community the way you guys have built it to be.
Yeah, no, that was amazing. And that was something that I look back and I didn't realize it at the time, but all the things that the staff did, leading up to COVID, which is obviously we know what a time that was getting given back without even asking. A family would come in and give the bartender a $50 bill, or the takeout. We never did takeout. We weren't,
Yep.
now that's 23% of our business.
Wow.
And just the community coming in saying, go support the gavel. How can we help the gavel, to go and catering. So that was awesome to see. Yeah. It was great.
What's your favorite drink right now?
White Russians with Captain Morgan.
Yeah, I love it. That's your go-to, right?
Yeah.
All right, all right.
That's my go-to.
I'm not mad at a Caucasian. That is,
Yeah.
I'm guilty. That's a guilty pleasure of mine as well. So I like it.
Yeah. That's my go-to.
Most famous person to come into one of the restaurants.
Oh, I'd have to say, we get some Patriots that come through. Patrick Chung would come in all the time, and Chung was funny. He'd go in the kitchen, start cooking, and the kitchen can be seen by the restaurant. So guys, customers be like, "Is that Patrick Chung back there?" I'm like, "Yeah." Scott Zolak comes in all the time. So it's just local celebrities, but just great people, a lot of laughs, and with Chung was amazing with the customers, and he was a staple there for a while. But yeah, I'd say mostly Patriots players. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know a lot of those guys make their way. You're in the shadow of Gillette Stadium, so a lot of those players living in that community, which is really cool. Your favorite place to vacation?
Honestly, I had the opportunity to go to Bermuda. When I was younger, it was Jamaica. But now with three kids, it's a little different experience on vacation. So yeah, a couple weeks ago, we were able to go over to Bermuda for a week for the school break. And my wife fell in love with it. As did I. Just great people. You can see the pride and the culture.
It's an awesome location.
Yeah, it really was. And so that's top of my list right now. We're trying to get back there. But when I was younger, it was definitely probably Cancun and Jamaica. But,
yeah, very different stage of life.
Yeah,
I love it. Out of everything that you've accomplished, what's the thing is sort of your biggest surprise accomplishment that you look at and go, what the heck? How did that happen?
Oh, that's a good question.
I tried, Johnny.
Yeah. Again, obviously relating back to the restaurants, it's when I told my wife I wanted to open up a bar, I wanted a dive bar, just a little dive bar. I could drink my Miller High Lifes. You got 3 kids or 2 at the time. And it's like, I need a place to go, an excuse to go there. Like, hey, honey, the POS is broken. I got to go.
Yeah.
So that's what I thought I was buying and opening. And it turned into a real full-fledged successful restaurant.
Yeah.
Great food, great people, great drinks. So there's certain times I'll go in there and just look around and be like, holy shit. I thought we were gonna have dim lights, dirty floors, and a Miller High Life. And now we have, outdoor seating and patios and music. And so I'd say it's the gavel. It was my first, it's my baby. And just walking in there sometimes and seeing people have fun and seeing them make memories with their families and celebrate occasions. And, you just kind of sit back and go, wow, this is not what I built. It's what we built as a team, as a staff and as my family. So I'd say the biggest success is the success of the gavel.
And, I mean, I grew up in Norwood where, Lewis is a staple of that community, and it's the exact same thing. And you've now you've done the same thing where you're right. Like families do celebrate occasions. You come back and you visit and you see your friends from growing up, and you go there, it becomes part of the ritual of, and then, like people then move back home, and then it becomes the next generation's part. I mean, it's pretty incredible. And yeah, I've been in there and watched those ceremonies. I've watched people sitting over in the corner toasting and like hugging
Right.
each other because they haven't seen, and actually met some of my old friends from Boston will meet there as well. And yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And to know that you've
Yeah.
made an
Yeah.
impact, you know, on a community and on people, which is pretty cool. Last one. What's the best business decision you've made?
Honestly, I think it was bringing on my partner that I have now. When I opened the gavel originally, it was just me. I had the support of my wife, and you think you know everything, and like there's a lot that goes into a business. Behind the scenes
Yeah.
accounting and finances and lawyers and HR and all this. And knowing me, I was the guy who wanted to go to the bar and shake the hands and
Yep.
kind of be the personality of it. And the business was going great, and but I always knew I wanted more. And I could have just had the gavel, and I could have made a good living, but I always wanted more. And I had a gentleman that I was friendly with who owned restaurants, and he expressed interest in coming on board. So he bought in, and that buy-in was huge. We really complement each other, where he has his skill set, which is running the back end of the business, and I kind of have the front end of the business, dealing with the staff and the customers and building those relationships. So I think the biggest thing is bringing on a partner. It was hard to do. It's almost like giving up half your baby, but in the long run, I knew that was the goal I wanted, and I couldn't be selfish or arrogant enough to think I could do it all on my own. Realizing that I could use the help, and it's been great. 2 restaurants added, and hopefully more to go.
But like outsourcing, doubling down on your strengths and outsourcing your deficiencies, it takes some confidence, right? It takes some humility, right? Some self-awareness, which is totally underrated in the world right now, to be like, you know what? Like, I'm really good at these things and I can do those things, but I suck at them. And it's okay to admit that, and I love, when you brought on your business partner and I had the opportunity to meet him, and, he does compliment you. Right. And
Yeah.
because of that, you guys are skyrocketing because you both acknowledge that, hey, God, together we can be dangerous, and I can hold him in check. He's going to hold me in check. And that's what, Katie and I do for each other. It's like, hey, I know I work best when I have somebody that I'm trying not to let down. Right. Like,
Exactly.
first it was my wife and kids and all these things, and a business partner. It's like, okay, I can't let these people down, so I will fight like hell every day for it. So it's I think that I love that answer.
100%. Yeah.
Look, this is phase 4, the final chapter. It's easy. This is where we get a chance to just say something, some answers back to our younger self and provide some value. There are kids and adults, right? Not just kids. There are people wrestling with what should I do next, right? And I know, look, for you and I, when we catch up, it is like we talk about how happy we are, right, with the decisions we made, because we made them for the right reasons, and we're working like hell. We're killing ourselves, but doing what we love, and I think that's the most important thing. So it's the advice. It's kind of providing some value back. So today, somebody is coming out of school. I'm going to pick that chapter of your life, and they've got a dream of a Jeep Wrangler and 2 jet skis. What would you say? What would you say to that younger self right now?
Oh God. I would say just believe in who you are at the core, believe in yourself, believe in your values. Life, there's so much pressure. You're now with the cell phones and the social media and trying to keep up with the Joneses, and so-and-so's doing this, and I fall into it sometimes. You're home and you're working your butt off. You see a family on vacation in Aruba and you're like, shit, like, what am I doing wrong? And just letting the kids know you're not doing anything wrong, and don't let the world tell you, I got to go to high school, then I got to go to college, then I got to get out of college, get a job, and then I got to get married. No one's, you don't do any of that. You have to do what you have to do. You want to do. You have to do what makes you truly happy. And it's not going to come fast. It's not going to come easy, but just stay true to who you are. and the core values that got you to where you are, and just stay the course. Don't give up on when little thing happens. Don't give up. I found myself in the 20s. We all have a history, all have backgrounds, and some of the times I made the biggest mistakes is because I wasn't happy. So I was almost punishing myself through certain behaviors because I truly wasn't happy. So find what it is that makes you happy. I talk to my son Riley now, he's 14, and he does, he thinks he's going to the NHL and all that, and it's great. You try and keep that in check a little bit. But he's like, well, I don't know about school and college. I said, you don't have to worry about any of that right now. You don't have to worry about college right now. I would love for you to go into the trades. I'd love for you to go into sports management, go into business, whatever you want to do. It's out there. Don't let the world tell you that this is what you're supposed to do. Do what you want to do and what makes you happy. And don't let the highs get too high. Don't get the lows get too low.
Yeah, I love that. The highs and the lows. It's, don't drink your own Kool-Aid and don't take the poison, right? It's like, I saw this chart the other day, and it was the life of a consultant, and it was like you're riding high with your closing deals, and on the backside of the deals, you're feeling great, and then when you're feeling great, it dips down, and you hit earth so fast as 2 deals go away, and you're like, ah, it's the same in the restaurant business. I know it's like constantly like ups and downs, peaks and valleys. We live it, and there's payroll. You've got over 100 employees. You're making payroll on. I don't have that, right? I've got 10, but it's hairy, right? Every 2 weeks, it's a real thing. And,
there's some pressure there. Yeah.
Yeah. I love, I tell kids all the time, like, it's really easy to write entrepreneur in your IG profile, but it's a whole nother thing to live that life and actually do it. So, be careful what you wish for. Okay. Yeah. Next, if you could change anything about your career path, what would you change?
Honestly, I don't know if I would, because I think I got to where I was by my career path.
Yeah.
I was able to do a lot of different things, mostly in the beer industry, but there was a time I was selling radio, sitting in a cubicle, cold calling from Tampa, Florida. And I'm like, I know I don't want to do this, So it's like everything that's kind of been.
Did that. I forgot you did that. Oh my God.
Yeah, I was awful. It was awful. Like my manager sent me on this layup.
Funny, I forgot.
Yeah, she sent me on a layup of an appointment in St. Pete, and I went out there. There's a scooter place, a family scooter place, and it's like, this guy, he's writing a check when you get there. And I'm talking to this family, nicest family in the world, and radio. And he's like, I got $3,000, and I'm like, that'll buy you one morning commercial. All right, let's do it. I'm like, no, it's not going to work. Like, go find a different marketing plan. So I went back to the office, and she's like, so you closed it? I'm like, no. She's like, wow. I'm like, I couldn't take their money. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I couldn't do it. I just felt bad for him. Like, it's not going to work, dude. She's like, just tell me to work and get the check. I'm like, that's not who I am. So I don't think there's many things I would change in my career path. I don't think there's many things I would change in my career path, because I think that's what got me to where I am today is those experiences.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, so we've talked, I usually end with like what's a super positive note, a best part of your job, but I'm going to tweak it a little bit here. Just like, cause we've talked a lot about what's the best part of, like, what's the best part of your day?
Honestly, right now it's the hockey aspect, right? Like this time of year and through the winter, it's getting in the car with my son, catching up on what he's been doing for the day, kind of throwing some shots back and forth as father sons will do. And then just getting on the ice and seeing his confidence and seeing him interact with the other kids. And, that's 4 or 5 nights a week right now. So, you get the work done. You get home and my wife is off with my daughter at dance, and it's time for me and Rye to kind of connect on the day and take that ride to the rink and kind of see him develop into a nice young man, confident young man.
I love that. I joke all the time that the time in the car is the most valuable time right now. Like as much as it's like, oh, we got to drive here, we got to drive there. My wife and I have realized that like, it's really the only, so we determined the car is a no phone zone, right? So it's like, this is when we're going to actually catch up. This is when we're going to have some time. This is when we're going to talk. And I do the camping with the kids and that car ride is the most like valuable time, because when we get there, they're ready to run off with their friends and have the time of their lives. And I love that. I love seeing that. I love giving them the freedom to do that. But I also selfishly want that little bit of time with them to like talk about what's
Right.
going on in life. And yeah, it's great, dude. And yeah, it's a special thing to just get that time. Well, dude, Johnny, I thank you for doing this. You know, I love you. I'm so proud of you. From two just complete idiots in their 20s to what we get to do today is pretty special. But I love that you shared it. I love, you know, the journey, you know, sharing the fact that the journey was, you know, all over the place for a little bit, with its highs, which were incredibly high, and its lows that were incredibly low, to figuring out that there was more for you, and you went after it. You took that risk, and you and I are the same, that both too dumb to realize how much of a risk we were taking, but
Right.
sometimes that works, you know, and here
Yeah.
we are. So thank you so much. Continued success. Good luck with the new spot. I can't wait to come check it out this summer when I'm home, and I'll come visit you. So we will talk soon, my friend.
I appreciate it, man. I love you. Thank you for the opportunity to come on. Miss you, buddy.